Sahana vavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryan karavavahai, tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadara, Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So we'll continue with 9th chapter of Bhagavad-gita. We'll just remind ourselves what we have studied until now in this chapter. So in the beginning of the chapter, Krishna was explaining to Arjuna that I'll give you even better knowledge than the knowledge I gave you until now. And this knowledge is known as the most confidential knowledge. The secret of all secrets, the king of all knowledge. And this knowledge can be practically perceived. The effect, the fruit of this knowledge can be practically perceived. And performing this knowledge makes one completely happy and satisfied. And this knowledge is the perfection of religion, perfection of religious principles. And why Krishna is going to give this knowledge especially to Arjuna? Anasuyave, because you are not envious to me. So basically Krishna, by giving this knowledge to Arjuna, Krishna is sure that Arjuna will not misuse this knowledge. That's why Krishna is revealing it to Arjuna and to all other devotees of the Lord. So what is the essence of this knowledge? In verses 4 to 10, basically we explain how Krishna, he is all pervasive and he is everywhere in the material world, but at the same time, as a person, he is aloof. So he's basically present everywhere through his energies, material and spiritual energies, but as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he stays always aloof. And Pandava Prabhu was giving a nice example how although Krishna is present everywhere in the material world, actually as a person he is not. But he is present as a person even in the material world, in the places where his pure devotees reside. So that was something very interesting. And then Krishna, if you remember, Krishna was saying, just see my mystic opulence, Yogam Ishvaryam. I am present everywhere, and at the same time, I am not present everywhere. And then Krishna was explaining how he is situated as a neutral, means he is basically he is the cause of all causes, and nothing can happen in the material world without his sanction, but at the same time, he is not really attached to the activities which are going on in the material world. So from one perspective, the things in the material world, they happen automatically. And then we started the next section of verses, how different people react to the knowledge that Krishna is giving, or when Krishna says that he's the Supreme Lord, how different groups of living entities react. And first we discussed the reaction of the Mayavadis, who are saying that they accept Krishna as a normal human being, and they avajananti mam muda. They're laughing at Krishna. That, wow, you're speaking these big words, but actually you're just a normal person. Just see, you look like a human. Sometimes you are crying when something happens, and sometimes someone looks like someone is overpowering you. So basically, they are giving so many arguments to try to prove that Krishna is a normal person. And because of having this envious attitude towards Krishna, the next verse, verse 12 in the 9th chapter, was explaining that no matter for what they are trying, what kind of result that they want to get, material result or liberation, all their hard work will meet with zero result at the end. Moga asha, moga karma, so moga jnana vicheta saha. And what will be the only result they will get? Asurim, Rakshasim, Asurim Chaiva, Prakriti Mohinim Ashritaha. They will just adopt the Asuric nature, demoniac nature. Why? Because they don't want to accept the supremacy of Krishna, the Supreme Lord. And now we will continue with the very important verses 13 and 14, which are speaking about Mahatmas, the great pure devotees of the Lord. There are many important things in the purports, so we will go through these purports. Just maybe for that, Pandava can say something, and then I will.
I don't have so much to say, actually.
Okay.
So maybe just read the purport.
Okay. Okay, so then, dear devotees, let's just go through these two purports, important purports. Who wants to read the beginning of purport to verse 13?
In this verse, the description of the Mahatma is clearly given. The first sign of the Mahatma is that he is already situated in the divine nature. He is not under the control of material nature. And how is this affected? That is explained in 7th chapter. One who surrenders unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, at once becomes freed from the control of material nature. That is the qualification. One can become free from the control of material nature as soon as he surrenders his soul to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the preliminary formula.
1 second. Which is this verse from 7th chapter? That is saying that if we surrender completely, then we can become totally free. We can become Mahatma. 17th chapter. Do you remember? There is a verse is saying, this material energy of mine, it's very difficult to overcome. But if one surrenders unto me,
Devi Eshi Gunamayi Mama Maya Durataya Mameva Ye Prapadyante Mayam Itan Tarantite.
Great, very nice. Yes, this is the verse that Srila Prabhupada is referring to in this.
7:19.
14.
7:14.
Okay, should I continue, Prabhuji?
Yeah, just one more question. Where in 7th chapter, again, we have the topic of Mahatma in one of the verses. 7th chapter. Mataji Jayarada just said the verse.
19.
19?
Yes, 7:19.
Is that, Prabhuji? Give me first line. Bahunam Janmanamante Gyan Mam Prapadyante Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sadurlava.
Samahatma. Someone who surrenders completely to Krishna, such a person is very, very, very rare. Samahatma Sadurlava. So we can say these verses is a little bit like a continuation of this topic from 7th chapter. We said chapter 7 and 9 more or less go through the same topics. Just 9th chapter goes even more in depth in the same topics. Okay, please continue.
Okay, where was I, Prabhuji? 1 minute.
That is the preliminary formula.
Being marginal potency, as soon as the living entity is freed from the control of material nature, is put under the guidance of the spiritual nature. The guidance of the spiritual nature is called Devi Prakriti, divine nature. So when one is promoted in that way by surrendering to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one attains to the stage of great soul Mahatma. Continue.
Mm-hmm.
The Mahatma does not divert his attention to anything outside Krishna, because he knows perfectly well that Krishna is the original supreme person, the cause of all causes. There is no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. Such a Mahatma or great soul develops through association with other Mahatmas, pure devotees. Pure devotees are not even attracted by Krishna's other forms such as four-armed Mahavishnu. They are simply attracted by two-armed form of Krishna. They are not attracted of other features of Krishna, nor are they concerned with any form of demigod or a human being. They meditate only upon Krishna in Krishna consciousness. They are always engaged in the unswerving service of the Lord in Krishna consciousness.
Nice. Thank you very much. So Srila Prabhupada is discussing few important topics. First, he is speaking about the greatness of Mahatma, that Mahatma is someone who is completely surrendered to the Lord. What is the meaning of the word Mahatma without Bhaktavatsala? Who else can say the meaning of the word Mahatma?
Great soul.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Bhaktavatsala, we said without you.
He was giving my answer.
Ah.
I was saying great soul.
Okay, then it's fine. Then it's okay. Yes, Maha Atma. Great. soul. Very nice.
I did say.
Who know? Can I tell also?
Yes, Prabhu.
Done. Mahatma means whoever know the Atma.
Whoever knows the Atma. Okay. Yes, it's a good point. Correct.
It's very simple, but also without that, it can't be Mahatma.
Okay. Yes, I agree. Someone who knows his real nature, spirit soul. So Srila Prabhupada was explaining that the position of the living entity is marginal energy. So we have to make a choice. We will be always under the influence of one of the energies of God, either external energy or internal energy, spiritual energy. We cannot be completely independent. The question is under the influence of which energy we are going to be. Shiva Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying that Tatastha Shakti or marginal energy means Tatastha. Tata means shore and sta means situated. We are the living entities, we are like situated exactly on the shore between the land and the water. And sometimes when a wave comes, we are on the shore and sometimes we are in the water. So we can change under the influence of which energy of the Lord we are going to be. Now Mahatma, he makes the choice that he wants to be under the influence of the spiritual energy, Daivi Shakti, Daivi Prakriti. So they act in such a way that they are influenced by this energy, spiritual energy. And then Srila Prabhupada was saying in the last paragraph, what is the sign of Mahatma? What is the sign of Mahatma? Who can say?
If we say Guru Maharaj, one guru has to have like which we can find Bacho Begum, Manusha Krudo Begum. So
no, I'm asking from this purport. From this purport, the last paragraph, Srila Prabhupada is explaining what is the sign of Mahatma. Just read there. The idea is to try to understand the purport a little bit more in depth.
I don't have my book with me right now. Actually, I came to a temple for another things. And
okay, someone else?
Roji, first of all, Mahatmas, they associate with other pure souls.
Very nice.
And then Prabhuji, they are not attracted by any other demigod or even other forms of Krishna like Mahavishnu or Garbhodaksha Vishnu. They just like Krishna, two-handed form.
Yes, Srila Prabhupada is saying, Mahatma does not divert his attention to anything outside Krishna. So they are totally dedicated to Krishna. Sometimes even if you mention something little bit aside, they are saying, no, I don't care about this, I don't care about that. I just want to be focused on Krishna. Very, what is the word? Their attention.
Focused.
One point.
Yes, one-pointed, very focused attention. Thank you very much. Exactly. That was the verse I was thinking.
Oh,
And the other important thing Bhaktivatsala Prabhu said, they are always looking for association of other Mahatmas, because they are on such a level in their spiritual life, they are very eager for nourishment, and they're getting this nourishment from association of another personalities like them. So if they don't have this for a short while, they don't feel good, they don't feel happy. That's why they are always looking for association of Mahatmas.
I just remember the story of Bharata Maharaj. He had to fall down. One of the reasons, because he didn't have association. He didn't have close Mahatmas close by.
Yeah.
When he became distracted, there was nobody there to correct him. So even from the level of bhava, if we're not careful, we can fall down.
Prabhuji, just one, maybe it's a funny thing coming in my mind, that Bharat Maharaj was so exalted at the stage of bhava. So didn't he realize that alone will be difficult for him? I mean, why did he go alone? I mean,
I don't remember reading specifically the reason for this in Bhagavatam. Maybe we can try to see, maybe the acharyas, they commented to this. I just don't remember now.
Yeah, it's okay. I just thought, that when from the very beginning we are told that don't leave the association.
Yeah, this in this case we should know that this is a special arrangement, because Krishna teaches us lessons through his great devotee. So he had to fall down because of us. And he taught us this lesson. And the reason for the fall down of Bharata Maharaj was actually given there. It was an ancient aparada.
I see.
Offense that he committed. And because of this, he didn't have association, and because of this, he had to fall down. And also, there is a description how he fell down. And when you read, it is very interesting, because the devotee, he can become very, very very good, so soft-hearted that this can become a problem, in a sense that he can become sentimental. So he wanted to help this poor creature, but Prabhupada in one of the purports, he says that we should know that we can help only by Krishna consciousness. Actually, we cannot help materially anybody. Everybody has his own karma. And anyway, so let's not get deviated too much.
Sure. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay.
Madan Gopal Prabhu, you had a question, or? Okay, looks no. So another interesting point in this purport is that Srila Prabhupada is saying such a devotee, he's interested only in the two-armed form of Krishna. They are not attracted to other features of Krishna, nor are they centered with any form of a demigod or a human being. Concerned with any form of demigod or a human being. They meditate only upon Krishna in Krishna consciousness. So someone may say, someone may say, well, how it is that, like in the other sampradayas, they don't worship Krishna, for example, they worship Narayana, Vishnu. What, you want to say that only your pure devotees, they are not pure devotees? Well, they are also pure devotees because they worship Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But here, Krishna is, Srila Prabhupada is speaking about very specific devotees, very, very elevated devotees, that they want to have relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in a very specific relationships, not even in the relationships which are predominantly based on own and reverence with the Lord, but rather even higher rasas. Krishna and Goloka Vrindavana. This is what Srila Prabhupada explains here. And also from this purport, we can have some guess about the mood of Srila Prabhupada himself, because he's saying, okay, pure devotees, what they want. They want to go back to the planet of Krishna and have association relationships with Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay, dear devotees, so who will read the purport to verse 14? Mataji Jai Radhe, you want to read?
Yes, Prabhuji, 1 minute.
Mahatma cannot be manufactured by rubber stamping an ordinary man. His symptoms are described here. A Mahatma is always engaged in chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead. He has no other business. He is always engaged in the glorification of the Lord. In other words, he is not an impersonalist. When the question of glorification is there, one has to glorify the Supreme Lord, praising his holy name, his eternal form, his transcendental qualities, and his uncommon pastimes. One has to glorify all of these things. Therefore, a Mahatma is attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Okay.
One who is attached.
Just 1 second. So what is the main symptom of a Mahatma, according to Srila Prabhupada? He is always engaged
When
in,
engaged in Krishna, chanting the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
yes, reading about Krishna, hearing about Krishna, glorifying Krishna. This is the engagement of Mahatma. And now someone may come and may say, oh, but this and this Swami Satchitananda or Nirananda or Disananda, he is also a great Mahatma. But according to this description of Srila Prabhupada, no. In order someone to be really accepted as a Mahatma, he should be devotee. He may be a very advanced transcendentalist, yes, but Mahatma means devotee, someone who is glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And not just sometimes, but always, constantly. This is what he is doing. In the morning, in the evening, during the day, during the night, always, constantly, he is doing something connected with Krishna, glorifying Krishna. This means Mahatma.
Okay, Washi. Pardon.
Yes.
Okay. One who is attached to the impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord, the Brahma Jyotir, is not described as Mahatma in the Bhagavad-gita. He is described in a different way in the next verse. The Mahatma is always engaged in different activities of devotional service, as described in Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing and chanting about Vishnu, not a demigod or human being. That is devotion. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smarnam, remembering him. Such a Mahatma has firm determination to achieve at the in ultimate end of the association of the Supreme Lord in any one of the 5 transcendental rasas. To achieve that success, he engages all activities, mental, bodily, and vocal, everything in the service of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. That is called full Krishna consciousness. Continue.
Yes.
In devotional service, there are certain activities which are called determined, such as fasting on certain days, like the 11th day of the moon, Ekadasi, and on the appearance day of the Lord. All these rules and regulations are offered by the great acharyas for those who are actually interested in getting admission into the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the transcendental world. Mahatmas, great souls, strictly observe all these rules and regulations, and therefore they are sure to achieve the desired result.
Thank you. So this is another feature of the Mahatmas. They may experience very deep relationship with Krishna internally, but actually externally they are following very strictly all the rules and regulations. And even if they are on a very, very, very high level and they don't have to do it, still they are doing it just to set a good example for the normal people, for the common people. So all these rules that are given in Shastra, like fasting on Ekadashi or Janmashtami, other rules and regulations, they are for the good of the devotee. Sometimes we think, well, do we really have to follow all these things? Maybe once in a year, Nirjala Ekadashi, then we can relax. But actually, Srila Prabhupada is saying they are following them so these things are for those who are actually interested in getting admission into the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So by trying to follow these things, although we may not be very qualified and not very serious and not very strict, but just by trying, we are showing Krishna that we want to become serious. And Krishna will start taking us seriously if we are doing this. Thank you, Mataji. You can read the last paragraph.
As described in the second verse of this chapter, not only is the devotional service easy, but it can be performed in a happy mood. One does not need to undergo any severe penance and austerity. He can live this life in devotional service, guided by an expert spiritual master, and in any position, either as a householder or a sannyasi or a brahmachari, in any position and anywhere in the world, he can perform this devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus become actually Mahatma, a great soul.
Yeah, so basically this process is so universal that it's for everybody. Everybody can follow it. It doesn't matter what is your social position. It doesn't matter how qualified you are materially. It doesn't matter from all these things. Still one can very serious practice this process. And what is the difference between the devotional service and all other impersonal process? Well, as we will learn a little later in 12th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, the impersonal process, while you are trying to follow it, it's a difficulty, it's a struggle. And when you achieve the ultimate result, it's again not so blissful. The ultimate result is also not so blissful. It's boring, basically. And devotional service, it is said susukam. It is happy while you are following the process to become perfect. Like to taking prasadam is nice, dancing is nice, listening amazing, interesting stories is nice. So all the different parts of the process of bhakti is happiness while we are performing the process. And then the ultimate result is also happiness, because you just go in the spiritual world and you're with Krishna and you have fun whole day from the morning till the evening. So from one side, the bhakti process is happiness from the beginning till the end, and from the other side, the impersonal process is suffering from the beginning to the end. So if we compare them, it will be intelligent to choose the easy, practical, and universal process of devotional service. And then we can become Mahatma, great soul. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. So now we will continue with verse 15. This is the same section, or?
Yes, this is the same section. So there are others. Srila Prabhupada mentioned them in the purport that we just read. There are others who are not classified as Mahatmas. So who are those others? There are three types of them. We spoke about them the last time. So they are those who engage in sacrifice by the cultivation of knowledge. They worship the Supreme Lord as one without a second, as diverse in many, and in the universal form. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, maybe somebody can read, he who worships himself as one with the Supreme Lord.
Yes, I will read it. I think it will be faster. But there are others who are still lower, and these are divided into three. He who worships himself as one with the Supreme Lord, he who concocts some form of the Supreme Lord and worship that, and three, he who accepts the universal form, the Virat Rupa, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and worships that. Out of the above three, the lowest, those who worship themselves as the Supreme Lord, thinking themselves to be monists, are most predominant. Such people think themselves to be the Supreme Lord, and in this mentality they worship themselves. This is also a type of God worship, for they can understand that they are not the material body, but are actually spirit soul. At least such a sense is prominent. Generally, the impersonalists worship the Supreme Lord in this way. Shall I continue?
Yes.
The second class includes the worshippers of the demigods, those who, by imagination, consider any form to be the form of the Supreme Lord. And the third class includes those who cannot conceive of anything beyond the manifestation of this material universe. They consider the universe to be the supreme organism or entity and worship that. The universe is also a form of the Lord.
Okay. Is this clear now? There are three types of worshippers who worship the Lord indirectly. The impersonalists, then the demigod worshippers, and then the pantheists. They worship the universe. So yes, go ahead.
Yeah, maybe we can just make like try to put in order these things in our head. We have on the top the pure devotees, the Mahatmas. Yes? And then one level down are those who approach again the Supreme Lord, but their motivation is not as pure. These are the people described in 7th chapter, the 4 groups. Do you remember them? Arti, Jigyasur,
Arthi, Jigyasur,
and Gyani.
Gyan.
Yes. So they may not be completely pure in their motivation. In other words, they want something from God, but they approach the Supreme Lord directly. So they are in a special position. And then one level, even under them, down, we have another 3 groups, of which one group is those who worship the universal form. Then another is the worshippers of the different demigods. They worship a demigod or a certain form, and they imagine that this form is the form of the Supreme Lord. And then even little lower than them are those who worship themselves as the Supreme Lord. In other words, they think that they are one with the Supreme. So all those are worshippers of the Lord, but completely different levels of worshippers.
And then below them are the demons. Avajinanti mam muda manushintam.
Yes.
Described in verse 11.
All these personalities, one way or the other, they try to worship the Lord, directly or indirectly. Whereas the demons, they refuse to worship the Lord. So they are different category.
Okay, so the next section, verses 16 to 20.
Prabhuji, just 1 minute. Yeah.
Sorry, I have a quick question, or I hope it's a quick question. What's the difference between Mahatmas and Ananya Bhaktas?
The same.
It's the same.
Yeah.
There's another name.
Yeah, different names. Ananya Bhakti means pure Bhakti. Kevala Bhakti, Ananya Bhakti, Uttama Bhakti, same thing. It means pure Bhakti.
Okay. All right. Good. It was short and easy. Okay. Thank you.
At least Srila Prabhupada used these terms in the same way. Now, technically, if you start going through some purports of some acharyas, they may give some small technical differences. Like, for example, sometimes Srila Prabhupada is using the term pure devotee. Yes?
Mm.
And sometimes we find the term Mahabhagavata. Or sometimes we find the term Uttamadhikari. Well, basically, generally, Srila Prabhupada use all these terms more or less in the same, defining the same personalities.
Okay.
But if we go technically into the explanations of the acharyas, sometimes they may have some subtle differences. They may explain some small differences, but basically the same.
Thank you.
Krishna.
Or Baladev Vibhushan, he gives classification of devotees. He classifies devotees in three categories. Svanishta devotee, that means he performs predominantly Varnashrama duties, and also he performs some bhakti. This is the lowest level. Then there is Parinishta devotee. He performs mainly devotional service, but he also performs some Varnashrama only in order to set a good example without attachment. So he's also pure devotee. He is a pure devotee. The first category is not complete. He's mixed devotee. And then the highest is the Nirapeksha devotee, who is performing only bhakti without any varnashrama.
Nothing else.
Okay, so now in the next section of verses 16 to 25, Krishna will discuss these two categories that were mentioned in the previous section, and they're the pantheists, those who worship the universal form, and the demigod worshippers. In verse 15, Krishna mentioned those who worship the universal form as the supreme, right? So now in verses 16 to 19, Krishna explains how these people can advance by recognizing him, the supreme, in the universal form. So Krishna is very kind. He sees what is our conditioning, and then he shows, he explains, he impresses upon us how we are present, how he is present in our conditioned field of activity. In other words, how whatever we attracted to is actually him only. Okay? So now we're gonna read verses 16 to 19.
Verse 16. Aham kratur aham yagya swadaham aham aushadam mantro aham evajyam aham agnir aham hutam. But it is I who am the ritual, I, the sacrifice, the offering to the ancestors, the healing herb, the transcendental chant. I am the butter and the fire and the offering. Pitaham asya jagato mata data pitamaha vedyam pavitram omkara rik sama jajur evacha. I am the father of this universe, the mother, the support, and the grandsir. I am the object of knowledge, the purifier, and the seeable Om. I am also the Rik, Sama, and Yajur Vedas. Katir Bharta Prabhu Sakshi Nivasa Sharanam Suhrit Prabhava Pralayastanam Nidanam Bijam Avyayam. I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge, and the most dear friend. I am the creation and the annihilation, the basis of everything, the resting place and the eternal seed. Tapami aham varsham, nigrinami utstrijami cha, amritam chaiva amrituscha, sat asat chaham Arjuna. O Arjuna, I give heat and I withhold and send forth the rain. I am immortality and I am also death personified. Both spirit and matter are in me.
Thank you. Thank you, Tusi. So is it clear what Krishna is doing here? Can somebody explain?
What is the question again, please?
What is Krishna doing by presenting this knowledge? What is his goal? What he's trying to attain?
He is the source of everything, and also like if you think one point is a universal form, also that also comes from this statement, kind of. And
Yeah.
he is like Aham Bija Pradam Pita. This is also comes from this point.
Yeah,
So from my
basically,
understanding.
Yes.
Krishna wants to show us that even if someone wants to worship the universal form, actually it will be better if he is conscious that this universal form is him. That no matter to what one is attached in this universal form, actually it's Krishna. So in this way, they can gradually become more and more Krishna conscious, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the things like I told universal form. He
Yes.
Virat Rupa is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam also in second canto.
Have
So,
you heard sometimes there are people you ask them, so do you believe in God? And they say, well, I have my idea about God. I just think that the universe is God. And I just try to be in contact with the energies. And
yeah, I heard many times.
So many people, they have this concept about God. But then now, if we try to help them to understand that, okay, everything that they perceive, all these energies, all these amazing things that they see, they are part of the greatness of Krishna, then gradually they can become Krishna conscious. So this is what Krishna is trying to make.
Yes, Prabhuji.
In other words, Krishna shows how everything is connected to him. So we should try in our own life, we should try to connect everything what we're doing with Krishna. Of course, we have our sadhana, and in the morning we perform direct devotional service usually. But then during the day, when we are engaged in our occupational activities, then it is the time for us to intellectually to understand how everything what we're doing is actually connected to Krishna. It is not good enough just to chant our rounds, to read, let's say, half an hour Bhagavatam, and then just go into the material world and just be practical and make money, completely forgetting about Krishna. That's not how a devotee should practice Krishna consciousness. So we should try.
This is sadhu.
Yeah. Well, because we'll have to remember Krishna at the time of death, so we better start practicing now. All right, so then verses 20 to 25, the next section, describe the demigod worshippers and compares them with the devotees. So maybe Tusi can read 20-21.
Traividya mam somapa putapapa yagir ishtva svargatim prartayante te punyam asadya surendra lokam ashnanti divyan divideva bhogan. Those who study the Vedas and drink the Soma juice, seeking the heavenly planets, worship me indirectly. Purified of sinful reactions, they take birth on these pious heavenly planets of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. Text 21. Tetam bhunktva svargalokam vishalam kshinya punya martya lokam vishanti evam tri dharmam anuprapana gata gatim kama kama labante. When they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure and the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of the three Vedas achieve only a repeated birth and death.
Okay, Baladevi Devotional writes in his commentary to verse 20. Though they do not know that the forms of Indra and other devatas, Krishna speaks here, they do not know that the forms of Indra and other devatas are my forms alone. They're actually worshipping me, who am situated in those respective forms, by Jyotishtoma and other sacrifices prescribed in the three Vedas. Drinking the remnants of sacrifice, Soma, and being purified of sins which obstruct their attainment of Svarga, they pray for Svarga. It should be understood that the enjoyment they obtain is actually given only by me. So the results that the demigod worshippers attain is given by Krishna. The results of the Gyanis, the liberation, is given by Krishna. Therefore, the Gyanis, if they want liberation, they should not offend the Lord. Therefore, the Mayavadis never attain liberation because they're offenders. You cannot attain liberation, you cannot attain the mercy of Mukunda if you blaspheme Mukunda. And the Mayavadis are offenders because they say that Mukunda has a material form. So the Mayavadis...
Or sometimes they even cut his hands. they're saying God doesn't have hands, doesn't have head, doesn't have ears, doesn't have eyes. They basically cut all the parts of his body.
Therefore they're compared to demons, because demons attack the body of the Lord with weapons, and Mayavadis attack the body of the Lord with logical arguments, quoting Shastra, which is emanation from the Lord. Shastra and Krishna are not different. So therefore they're aparadis, the Mayavadis, and they don't go anywhere. They always stay in the material world, and they go to hell actually, according to Ishopanishad. Andatama pravishanti ye vidyam upasate tato vidya ye. Andatama pravishanti ye vidyam upasate tato vidyam vidyaya gam rataha. Okay. And Madhvacharya, by the way, he says that one should not only present the truth, Vishnu is the supreme, Krishna is the supreme, but if one wants to be fully righteous and bona fide and devotee, actually, he should always attack the ignorance. He should always, in other words, he should always attack the Mayavadis. We should not just wait. We shouldn't just wait, and if they start talking nonsense, then we kind of repel there. No, we should be actively attacking them. And therefore, we see Prabhupada's purports are always, all the time, he's always attacking the Mayavadis. This is the tradition of our Sampradaya.
He was, basically, if we see them,
if we attack like that, I have to have enough statement to stop them, right? Unless it's going to be a problem.
How long will it take?
there is some second voice somehow coming from somewhere. Okay.
Sorry, I'll call later on. Thank you. There's Prabhuji next to me, Maharsha Prabhu.
Yeah.
So he's...
Yeah, Prabhu, tell us. Bhagavan Hari.
Okay. So I'm sorry for that. I'm with Maharsha Prabhu. Anyway, so now he stops, so I can tell. I'm telling, like, say, if I don't have enough knowledge and I try to attack them, and they try to defeat me, so that will be a really different mess.
Yeah.
But I had to have enough knowledge to attack them. Like Prabhupada is different, definitely different. He did. But for us, with small knowledge, if I try to defeat them, how you think? Is it a good idea, or we have to be
Yeah,
very knowledgeable?
that's why Srila Prabhupada wanted us to read his books regularly, because in his
Okay.
he
Okay.
already gave more than we had to know. Like in one place, if I remember correctly, Srila Prabhupada has a statement, something like, I'm paraphrasing, but he was saying, even the newest girl that joined the Hare Krishna movement, after like being just shortly in our temples, hearing our classes, she already knows more arguments than she needs to defeat, to smash the Mayavadis, the impersonalists. Because I mean, we see this is our tradition. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, he was very strong on this point. And Srila Prabhupada took his mood, and he was also very strong. And if we read the books of Srila Prabhupada, well, more or less every second or third purport, Srila Prabhupada is giving arguments again and again and again to smash this idea. First, so that we can smash it in others, but also to be able to smash it in ourselves, because we have these doubts deeply in ourselves. Very deeply in ourselves, we think that the Lord is impersonal, actually. That's why we often practice bhakti, but we don't enter into very deep personal relationships with the Supreme Lord. So for both purposes, to smash other Mayavadis and also to smash the Mayavadi within us, if we read the books of Srila Prabhupada, we will find all these arguments there. Srila Prabhupada already gave us everything that we have to know in a very easy way. Just we have to read his purports and all this.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
So then in verse 22, Krishna contrasts the demigod worshippers with the devotees. Krishna says, but those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. A yoga kshema vahami. I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. So this idea of and desire for gain and safety is very prominent in the material world. We always want to gain something that we don't have, and we want to preserve what we already have. But we try to do this with material means usually. Therefore, in third chapter already, no, second chapter, Krishna already told Arjuna, Traigunya Vishaya Veda, Nistrai Gunyo Bhavarjuna, Nirdvandvo, Nitya Sattvasto, Nir Yoga Kshema, again, Yoga and Kshema, Nir Yoga Kshema Atmavan. Krishna says that whatever you need, well, he says, Arjuna, you should forget, you should reject, denounce, deny this material idea that here in the material world you can find gain and safety. The real gain and safety is in me. So these two verses are actually very connected. Yoga Kshema Vahami Aham, and the one that we quoted from second chapter. So devotees who worship Krishna in exclusive devotion are awarded perfect Krishna consciousness. Once they are situated in Krishna consciousness, the Lord protects them from falling down to conditioned life. So in his purport, Srila Prabhupada defines exclusive devotion. So let's see what he says. Who is exclusive devotee? One who is unable to live for a moment.
Okay, yeah, maybe we can just read the whole purport. It's short and very powerful purport. One who is unable to live for a moment without Krishna consciousness cannot but think of Krishna 24 hours a day. Being engaged in devotional service by hearing, chanting, remembering, offering prayers, worshipping, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, rendering other services, cultivating friendship, and surrendering fully to the Lord. So these things that Srila Prabhupada just mentioned were known as, who can tell me? Hearing, chanting, remembering, offering prayers, worshipping, serving the Lord.
We can say Mahatma.
Yeah, but these activities, they are known in our philosophy as?
Pure devotee?
Huh?
Pure devotee?
No, the activities, these activities.
Oh, this is activity. Navavida Bhakti.
Navavida Bhakti, yes.
Jack.
9 direct process of devotional service.
Yeah.
Such activities are all auspicious and full of spiritual potencies, which make the devotee perfect in self-realization, so that his only desire is to achieve the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a devotee undoubtedly approaches the Lord without difficulty. This is called yoga. So what means yoga? The devotee is
The devotee is engaged with this Navavida Bhakti. It's a
he gets in contact with the Supreme Lord.
yes, and that is yoga.
He becomes Krishna conscious. That means yoga, Krishna conscious, connection with the Supreme.
Yeah, yoga means connection. So yeah.
By the mercy of the Lord, such a devotee never comes back to this material condition of life. Kshema refers to the merciful protection of the Lord. The Lord helps the devotee to achieve Krishna consciousness by yoga, and when he becomes fully Krishna conscious, the Lord protects him from falling down to the miserable conditioned life. So yoga means Krishna is helping the devotee to become Krishna conscious, and Kshema means Krishna is protecting the devotee. He is keeping him on the level where he is. Even if devotee has some difficulties in spiritual life, Krishna will take care of him, will hold him, basically.
Mhm.
So that's the main understanding about this verse. However, there is also another understanding that even materially Krishna is taking care of the devotee. Whatever, if devotee lacks something materially, Krishna will also take care for this as well.
Yeah, that was my next question. So you answered. Thank you.
There is a famous story. This verse is very famous, by the way. And the most famous word, or the word that we have to give some attention here, is the last word from the verse, is the word aham.
Question.
Yes, Madan Gopal Pro, tell us.
Hare Krishna. I just have, something that I feel like is kind of a contradiction.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's like on the levels of bhakti that somebody has or what, but it's like, if we like hear scriptures like, if you're a devotee, Krishna will give you everything that you lack, and give you everything that you need. And it's like, but then at the same time, like, that's giving somebody an incentive to be a devotee. If you get what I'm saying, it's like, okay, if I worship Krishna now, like, Krishna's not gonna allow me to lack anything, and like, I'm gonna be materially and spiritually good if I become a devotee.
Mhm.
And like, at the same time, like, I feel like a devotee, like, just, I feel like you probably shouldn't want anything from Krishna if you're doing things, for Krishna, or like, it shouldn't be in like a mood of even knowing that Krishna is, and then like, even things that you say, like, it's like somebody shouldn't, like, like there's levels of a devotee, somebody who is coming to Krishna, you know, when they want something and things like that. But it's like when things like this are being said, it's like, how can a person who's like honestly thinking and, you know, like speaking, like really say, oh, you know, like I really don't have any intentions, or, you know, like I don't want anything from Krishna, but in the back of their head, they're knowing like, all right, if I am a devotee, like I'm gonna get everything from Krishna anyway. So let me just, you know, do my best to be, you know, the best
Yes.
devotee I
So,
can be, because I know that it's gonna have a reward at the end of the day, you know.
yeah, so if I understand correctly, you're saying that sometimes as a devotees, we may know that, okay, we should not ask anything from Krishna, but actually somewhere on the back of our mind, we think, yes, but anyway, I know Krishna will give me everything that I need. Well, this is that we know this, it's not wrong, means devotee has a firm conviction that Krishna will take care of him, no matter what's going on in his life.
Oh, this is one of the symptoms of surrender. Goptritve.
Yes, the devotee has this firm conviction, firm faith that
Rakshisyati Vishvaso.
yes, Krishna will protect me and Krishna will maintain me. No matter what's going on in my life, I'm sure Krishna will take care of me. So this is good if we have it. But yes, as you are saying, from other perspective, we as devotees should try as much as possible not to ask from Krishna material things. Because anyway, Krishna will give us all these things. So why asking him, why praying to him for material things? Rather we just have to perform devotional service and try to make Krishna happy with this devotional service. And then he knows better what actually we need materially, and he will definitely give it to us. This is the story that I wanted to share, maybe even two stories. The first one is about Arjuna Chari. It's a famous story. So that's why I said the last word from the verse is aham. When he was writing his commentaries on Bhagavad-gita, and he came to this verse and he read that Krishna is, because the word aham is used, so he thought, oh, so here Krishna is saying that aham, he's taking care for his devotees, yoga kshema. He's protecting them and he's giving them whatever they need. But he said, wait a minute, this is actually, Krishna is not doing it personally. He's doing it through his energies. Because he has desire, his energies will do it. But he's not doing it personally. So actually, he thought this is not correct. And he scratched the word aham. And then it was noontime and he went to take bath in the river and to come back to take his lunch. And while he was outside, two very nice boys came to the door of his house and knocked on the door. And his wife opened the door, and they were carrying big baskets full with different boga, like rice, dal, sabji, fruits, milk, butter. So they gave all this to his wife. And then she was very grateful, of course, but she saw they have strange scratches on their bodies. And they said, what happened? Why you look like that? Who did this to you? And they said, well, actually, your husband did this to us. And she couldn't believe. She said, my husband? How it is possible? They said, yes, he did this to us. And then they left. And she became a little bit morose and depressed, like, how it is possible my husband to do something like that? But anyway, she was doing her duty. She cooked the lunch, but she was so kind of depressed that as never before, she sat down to eat before her husband. So when the husband came back and he saw his wife sitting and already finished with his meal, and he said, what's going on? Like, how it is that you are eating before me? And then she just looked at him with this glance and said, how how can you be so cruel? How can you deal these boys in such a way? And he said, wait a minute, I don't know anything. What kind of boys? Why you are in such angry mood? And she said, yeah, these boys, they came here and they brought all this boga for us. But then they had these scratches on his body. And I asked them, what happened to you? And they said, yeah, your husband did this to us. And I couldn't understand how it is possible my husband to do something like that. And then Arjuna Acharya, he was so confused and he was thinking, and gradually Krishna gave him intelligence and he understood, okay, now I understand actually. These two boys, because he asked his wife, these two boys, how exactly they were looking like? And she described them. Yeah, one was bluish and the other was whitish on color. They were extremely beautiful. And then he understood. He said, oh, I did such a mistake. Yes, it is true. I scratched them off from the verse of Bhagavad-gita. So then he got this realization. It's true. Krishna is taking care of his devotees personally. He himself, not through someone else, not indirectly. And then there is another interesting story. There was a man, he had strong belief in God, and then God, one time he appeared in front of him and he spoke to him and he told him, I will always take care of you during your life. You just go through your life and always remember me and you will never have problems. I will always take care of you. And then this man said, but how I will be sure that you are always there and you will be taking care for me? And then God said, always when you are in big danger, just look back and you'll see there will be two pairs of steps. One will be yours and one will be mine. And in this way, you'll know I'll be always with you. And then the man was very happy. And sometimes in difficult situations in his life, he was looking back. And yes, the God was there for him. So he was so happy. And then one time he came to some very difficult, very, very severe difficulties in his life. And then while he was really going through this and he was so it was so difficult for him, he looked back and he saw only one pair of steps, and immediately doubt appeared in his heart. So what happened? Maybe God left me. Maybe this situation was so difficult, he left me, and this doubt stayed in his heart. And anyway, because he was a serious devotee, he continued practicing, and then at the end of his life, he went back to the spiritual world. And the first thing he asked God when he saw him was, my dear Lord, you promise you'll never leave me. But then when I was in this very critical, very difficult situation, I looked back and I saw only one pair of steps.
Yeah, footsteps. Yeah.
And then he said, how is that? What happened? Did you leave me at that moment? And then the Supreme Lord said, actually, no. That was the moment that I was carrying you in my hands. And actually, you were seeing only my steps behind you. So Krishna will never leave us. Krishna will always take care of us. We should have this strong.
So that step was Krishna's step.
Yes.
It was not like, okay, he is carrying on the hand. Okay, that's fine.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so then in connection to this very nice story that Tulsi Prabhu just told us, we will read something from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. Taking care of the devotees is not a burden for the Lord. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains, Krishna says, one should not say that in giving the burden of their maintenance to their worshipable Lord, the devotees show lack of prema. Okay, so because it's very nice, okay, he will take care of me. And you're happy. But that means you lack prema, you lack surrender. So why should God take care of you? So Krishna says, in fact, they do not give me that burden. Haribo. What's happening?
Close the door.
Okay. Okay, continuing. I, Krishna says, by my own will accept it. It should also be understood that I am not bearing it as a duty, as I create and maintain the universe by my will alone. So Krishna maintains and creates and carries all these universes just by his desire. So to carry, even to if we accept that this is a burden, to carry this for him is very easy. Rather, being attached to my devotees, I take greatest pleasure in taking care of their needs, like carrying the weight of one's lover. So in this way, Krishna enjoys taking care of the devotees. Okay, so then next verse 23 answers the question. Since the demigod worshippers are ultimately worshipping Krishna, wouldn't they receive the same result as Krishna's unalloyed devotees? This doubt comes several times, again and again. Okay, devotees, the demigod worshippers are ultimately worshipping Krishna, right? Krishna himself, he said that. So if this is true, why they get different result from Krishna Bhaktas? They worship ultimately the same personality, Krishna. So then the answer is verse 23.
Yepianya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayan vitaha tepi mam eva kaunteya yajantiya vidi purvakam. Those who are devotees of other gods and who worship them with faith actually worship only me, O son of Kunti, but they do so in a wrong way.
So this is the answer. This is true. They actually worshiping Krishna, but they worship Krishna improperly. Avidi purvakam. They have incorrect knowledge. They think the demigod is actually the supreme, so this is incorrect. And they follow incorrect process. Therefore, the result they achieve is imperfect. Okay, so can you tell me now what are the three technical terms that describe the sentence that I just told you? I'll repeat the sentence. So the demigod worshippers have incorrect knowledge and they follow incorrect process, and therefore the result they achieve is imperfect. So what is this?
Yeah, there are two incorrect. So they actually worship the incorrect way to have the goal of the life. This is not the correct way, and the result also they get the incorrect.
Yes.
Pandava Prabhu is asking about the Sanskrit terms that he was explaining in the previous lectures.
There are Sanskrit terms here that you should tell me.
About the knowledge.
No, don't tell them more. Don't tell them more.
The knowledge, the practice, and the goal.
No.
We spoke that we
That's
have
too easy
Sanskrit
now.
terms.
That's too easy.
प्रभु संबंध ज्ञान अभिधेय प्रयोजन.
All glories to Tulsi Prabhu. He's very merciful. Okay, so they have incorrect knowledge. That means they don't actually know the field. They don't know who they are, who God is, what is the material world. And therefore, they follow incorrect process, abhideya, and prayojana. Their idea of prayojana is imperfect. Okay, very good. So their worship is compared to watering the leaves instead of watering the root. Krishna is the root, and we're supposed to water the root, and then this is the proper process. Okay.
Shall we?
The Lord continue. Yeah. You want to read the purport? Okay.
Here, dear devotees, let's read this purport also. It's important purport. Persons who are engaged in worship of demigods are not very intelligent, although such worship is offered to me indirectly. Krishna says, for example, when a man pours water on the leaves and branches of a tree without pouring water on the root, he does so without sufficient knowledge or without observing regulative principles. Similarly, the process of rendering service to different parts of the body is to supply food to the stomach. The demigods are, so to speak, different officers and directors in the government of the Supreme Lord. One has to follow the laws made by the government, not by the officers or directors. Similarly, everyone is to offer his worship to the Supreme Lord only. That will automatically satisfy the different officers and directors of the Lord. The officers and directors are engaged in representatives of the government, are engaged as representatives of the government, and to offer some bribe to the officers and directors is illegal. This is stated here as avidi purvakam. In other words, Krishna does not approve the unnecessary worship of the demigods. So what is the Sanskrit term for worshipping the demigods in a wrong way? The Sanskrit word from the purport.
Avidhi purvikam. Avidhi purvakam.
Avidi purvakam. Yes. So it's not according to the rules. Avidi. It's against the rules, actually, what they are doing. Because as Srila Prabhupada is giving the example, the right way to water the tree is to give the water to the roots. And the right way to feed the body is to give the food to the stomach. But those personalities who worship demigods, they are not doing so. They are trying indirectly to do the same.
So I have a question. Is it Avidi Purvakam to mention now that this Avidi Purvakam may by chance appear in the test, or it is not Avidi Purvakam? It is okay.
I think it's okay.
Did you get it? We are being very generous today.
Whoever got it, and whoever not.
Okay. So maybe you can read 24 and 25.
Okay, and we have the last two verses from this section. Verse 24. Aham hi sarva yagyanam bhukta cha prabhur eva cha natumam abhijananti tatvenataschavantite. I am the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. Therefore, those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down. Yanti deva vrata devan, pitrin yanti pitri vrataha, bhutani yanti bhuteja, yanti mat yajjino pimam. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. And those who worship me will live with me.
Okay, Jai. So in verses 11 till 25, Krishna described different types of worship. What Krishna described, how the pantheists can become devotees by recognizing Krishna in the universal form. And then he described the demigod worshippers. And then he described the pure devotees also. Did he in this section? No, actually, no. This was in previous section.
Yeah.
Okay, so Krishna described the demigod worshippers and the worshippers of the universal form. And in the last 9 verses, the last section of this chapter, Krishna will go back again to the pure devotees, and he will encourage us to worship him in pure devotion, because this is the best thing for us. And Krishna will explain that the devotees are so dear to him that even if they fall down, they are still saintly people, and they are supposed to be considered sadhu. Otherwise, this is an offense. We'll speak about this next time. Okay, some questions, comments?
Madan Gopal has a raised hand. I'm not sure if this is from the previous question or it's a new question.
Oh no, it's from the previous question. I don't have a specific question, but you know, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, all right.
Well, if you don't have, don't try to come up with one just because.
Yeah. Well, I don't have one, but you know, like, I really have a question sometimes. Like, you know, like if there's a right way, and you know, we all we all in this group, I feel, you know, like understand that Krishna is, you know, like the way and the way to go. I it just, you know, like the question comes up in my mind, like, why would Krishna give all of these options to the souls out here? You know, like all of these wrong paths. You know what I mean? And it's like a person who didn't have the chance to, you know, like come across a devotee or, you know, like wasn't raised in Krishna consciousness, they would just, you know, would easily be led down a wrong path that would give them wrong results. And it's like, I don't know. I just ask myself the question sometimes, like, if this is, you know, like, well, why would Krishna do this and make it so much more confusing than it has to be, you know?
Mhm. Well, one answer is because in Kali Yuga are born souls who want to be in Maya. So we are not by chance born in this age. So this is our desire. And if we don't have free will given by Krishna, then we cannot desire, we cannot decide to surrender to him voluntarily. And this is the definition of love. So he has to give us free will, and he has to hope, and he's hoping, and he's making everything needed, making all the required arrangements for us to choose the proper way. But if we don't have free will, we cannot love him. It's not real love. Bhakta Vatsala, he wanted to say something.
Prabhuji, I wanted to go back. You answered his question, because my question is again with the Bharat Maharaj thing. But you answered, you finished with the answer, Prabhuji, or I'm interrupting?
Yes, I did finish.
Okay, Prabhuji, like you were saying that there is a, I mean, you are not remembering, but there is something that some offense he did, and that's why he fell down. Bharat Maharaj, you were saying.
No, I remember.
So now
I remember this clearly, that this is the reason given in the commentaries. I could not remember why he was alone. What was the specific?
No problem, Prabhuji. Now my question is that we hear that Prabhuji, Akrura also went to invite Krishna, and then gopis were offended. Right, Prabhuji? And because of that, he was involved in that jewel thing, in killing Sattadham, someone, I don't remember the name now.
Yes.
Sattadham, whoever. Okay, so then my question is, Prabhuji, that when we are doing our service, and sometimes we correct people, if they get offended because of their attachment to their work, then is it like offense? Because see, now Akrura went to invite Krishna, but gopis are so attached that they are offended. The same thing when we are doing our service and we are correcting someone, and they are attached with their ways of doing things, then is it like offense? And then what is our situation then?
Well, first of all, it depends who we are. If it's our duty to correct somebody, that's one case. We are doing.
No, let's say, our duty is not to correct anyone, but we are doing our service and they are interrupting our service.
Then even if then we should try to be as gentle as possible, and even if somebody is offended, then we can always apologize and beg forgiveness. That's always the safe course that is recommended.
or go to their authority.
Okay.
It's
Prabhuji, even if we apologize, but in their heart they are still keeping something. So my question, you answered, but I just want to know that then we also fall because
Well,
knowingly
Vishnu,
or unknowingly
okay, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur explains that sometimes the offense is usually the Vaishnavas they forgive, but sometimes they're very offended, and then they don't so easily give forgiveness. So then I'm just quoting what the Acharyas say. Then one should adopt the occupation of menial servant of this Vaishnava. He should try to appease him by doing some seva for him on a regular basis until he is pleased. And even if this doesn't work, then the only resort is constant chanting of the holy name, and then this will gradually overcome the offense.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah.
Usually, just begging forgiveness usually works. Just apologizing, and usually this is enough.
No, thank you, Prabhu. It's just that sometimes you apologize, but people say, "Oh no." Anyway, this is a big thing.
But
All
then
right, Prabhu.
it's also a problem of this devotee who doesn't accept apologies. This is also, it shows some discrepancy in his character, because the Vaishnavas, they're merciful.
Right.
At least the advanced Vaishnava is supposed to be. So
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. So I understand you cannot make happy everybody sometimes. So only chanting Hare Krishna. After trying few times, if it doesn't work, chant Hare Krishna. Krishna is conqueror for everything. So maybe Krishna is gonna conquer his mind, and one day it's gonna be okay.
yes, we try our best, and if it doesn't work, then we chant the holy name and pray to Krishna to take care.
I think we should try at least not intentionally to offend the Vaishnavas. Yes, somehow living with the Vaishnavas, always there will be some small conflicts, some disagreements, differences of opinion. But let's try to keep those in some normal, how to say, area. And
Yeah, like normal level. And then don't cross that level, then it's gonna be offense.
Yes. And generally try to be friend with the Vaishnavas, because this is the characteristics of a Madhyama devotee, is that he is friend with the Vaishnavas, and if he has some tendency for quarreling with arguing, he will use this to preach Krishna consciousness. But he will try to avoid getting in such relationships with the Vaishnavas. So let's try as much as possible to avoid this in our relationships with the Vaishnavas. If we really sometimes analyze ourselves, we will see that most of the time when we have a problem with the Vaishnava, it's not about something serious. Okay, maybe once in a life, 2 times we had some serious differences of opinion with some Vaishnava, and it was really some bad thing we did or they did or something like that. But this will be very rare cases. Most of the time, there are some very small things, and just our mind make out of them some huge, and we just meditate on it again and again and again. So we should be generous Vaishnavas, and we should overlook the small things, the small differences with the Vaishnavas as much as possible.
Okay, thank you very much. See you again soon.
Thank you, dear devotees. Yeah, for the next time, we will finish 9th chapter in the first session in Sunday, and then we'll continue with 10 chapters. So please prepare at least the first half of 10th chapter for Sunday. And tomorrow I'll send you few options for your essays. Open closed book test, open essay, so you can gradually start working on it.
Thank you
very
very much.
much.
Hare Krishna.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama 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 Hare